I only track really my buffs because my debuffs are tracked with another add-on which I'll come to in a minute. Next we have Sexy Map. This is just for your mini-map. As you can see, I've made mine look like a square. A very, very uninteresting square, which is just the way I like it. When I mouse over it, all my buttons appear. Any buttons that I don't use, for example the the zoom in and out buttons, I don't need them, I don't use them, so I hide them, they're out of the way. You can do all sorts of pretty little effects with this. I don't want to select them just in case I can't set it back again quickly. But yeah, basic add-on, very, very useful for just cleaning away a bit of real estate. SCADA, I'm sure a lot of you know SCADA. It's sort of the rival for Recount. Counts your DPS in a different way to SCADA. Recount basically works out how much damage you do whilst you are damaging something. So if you run into a minute-long fight and only survive 10 seconds, it averages out the damage you did over 10 seconds and says, here's your DPS. SCADA works out the amount of damage you did whilst you were causing damage over the entire duration of the fight. So in the same example, you spent 50 seconds of the fight dead, it's still averaging your score. So in that instance you would come out with a much lower score in SCADA than you would in Recount. It's to personal preference. I prefer SCADA, not just because it counts damage in a way that I think is more important, but also it looks nicer, always important for a user interface, and when you enter a fight it will automatically convert into a threat meter, so you don't need Omen, and it takes the guesswork out of your threat management, which is always nice. Unfortunately, I don't have any values showing at the moment. I accidentally reset them before I started this guide, which was hugely useful. But my SCADA is down here. That's the title bar, so I can click it and change from DPS to damage, the amount of damage taken, healing, etc, etc, etc. And that's basically that one. Stuff, another one. Too much to go into in a small guide like this. If you want to replace your basic unit frames, so that's basically your health, your picture, your mana, your parties, pictures, mana, etc, etc. Stuff is one of the best out there. It's not the easiest, but I would say it is easy. This is the configuration menu for it. It looks hugely daunting and confusing, and it really, really isn't. It's very, very straightforward. Player, that's you. Some basic options here. Position, where on the screen is the frame, that sort of thing. Some colouring options. If we click here, it breaks it down very, very straightforward. Your portrait, this is the portrait here. You can have a basic 2D one like Blizzard, or you can have a real-time 3D one like I've got here. You see me flapping around. Health bar, the big green bar. You can set it to any colour you want. You can set it to change colour as the health gets lower. You can change the size, you can change the texture. I'll just show you a quick texture change just out of interest if I can find it. There we go. Texture. Here's all the textures that I have installed, so I can make it look hugely different like rocks. And that didn't work. Excellent. Excellent. And I'm not sure why. And I don't have a huge amount of time. Oh, I know why. Because I only have my target enabled. See, you've got to be impressed by the preparation I put into this one. Now, hopefully, when I click this, ta-da! It worked. So you can make it look you can make it look like the default one. That ugly thing. Ugh. You could make it look like Frost, apparently. Anything you want. I like mine relatively simple, so I have it like that. Power bar, that's your mana, your rage, your energy, your focus, whatever it is. Text, different text options. This one's set for name, for example. I could disable name, but I like to have my name there. Your level and your class and race, if you want that sort of thing displaying and taking up space on your health bar. It's up to you. Lots and lots and lots of different things. You can have it displaying combat text, that's your damage, incoming, outgoing, that sort of thing. You can have debuff icons. You can have all the usual stuff. Everything that Blizzard can show, this can show, and this can show more as well. And it's all very, very straightforward once you dig in. Once you understand how to set one up, you can set everybody up. You can set focuses, focus targets, your whole party. There's not a lot this add-on can't do. The other one out there that's sort of the competition for stuff is Pitbull. Pitbull was around first. Stuff does everything Pitbull does and more, and it also uses up less resources. So if you want to choose between the two, use Stuff. The options menu looks pretty much the same as well, so it's not like one is easier than the other. If you want a really, really easy replacement for the Blizzard frames, there's things like shadowed unit frames, and there's also Xpearl, and neither one I would recommend over Stuff. Next we have tidy plates. Oh, one thing I didn't show you that I've got set up with Stuff is one of the options is your cast bar. Cast bar's relatively basic, but I think I've done something quite cool in mine, which is if I was to cast a spell now, here's my cast bar, it will appear here somewhere. See how it's green? Green for good, man. So that means it's a good spell being cast. Now, if I target, unfortunately I only have myself to target here, so when I cast now, you will see two bars, one being my green bar for good spell, and one being a red bar for bad spell. As you can see, there's the red bar. That is my target's cast bar. The outline is in red, red for bad. The text is slightly bigger, letting me know what spell they're casting, so I know whether to interrupt it or not. Just cast a nice little heal on this guy. Sod off. Okay, so that's basically it. There are tons of options, and it's very, very easy once you get the hang of it. Next we have tidy plates, which I can't really demonstrate a lot here because I don't have any enemies. Basically it replaces the normal nameplates that would appear above your enemy's head, which I think is the V key by default, showing their health, their name, their level, that sort of thing. Tidy plates is like a very, very, very advanced version of that. It allows you to better decide on your targets based largely on threat. If you are a tank, you have options to select it for tank default settings, or if you're a damage dealer, a DPS, you have the damage option. The two work effectively the opposite way. For a tank, you want to have aggro on as much as humanly possible. The way it does this is by displaying the nameplates in a different way. Items or mobs that you have high threat on have a very, very small nameplate, so they're sort of tucked away. Items where you have low threat and you need to target and attack more often have a big nameplate to emphasize their existence and their threat. DPS works exactly the opposite. If you have a lot of threat, it will make their health bar bigger, therefore letting you know that they are a bigger danger. There are lots and lots of options. Again, looks more daunting than it really is. If you use the bog standard nameplates from Blizzard, try this. You'll find it very, very handy. Another feature is that on the nameplate bars it can also show your debuffs. I think personally they take up a bit too much space and start to clutter the screen, but you can filter it here to only show debuffs of a certain name. Now, Danny and I were talking earlier about the beauty fight in Blackrock Caverns on Heroic, where you need to ideally have one of or two of the small ads CC'd. It would be very, very handy to have your CC spell displayed on their health bar, so that you don't actually need to target them to see how long you've got left on your crowd control ability. You can continue to attack the boss and just by glancing around instantly see how long you have left before you have to recast. So very, very handy, I think.